What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be Basketball Wives, what season we on? Season 9, episode 2. So, this is the, Black Lives Matter episode. I told y'all all of these shows that are coming back, they have their Black Lives Matter episode. And so, a lot of stuff were, excuse me, a lot of things were shut down because of pandemic. They weren't really filming, but of course, while they weren't filming, all of these things happened this summer. We were there, we experienced them, and we also found out the ladies are all over the place. I mean, Jackie done moved to Sacramento. Shawnee is in Houston. We know that Malaysia is in Atlanta, but we also found out that Jennifer, who she on this season, Jennifer and Kristen are both living in Atlanta now. So, child, people just all over the place. Now, Evelyn done found herself a house in her gated community, so she's in the process of moving. We get to see all of her wonderful shoes and things of that nature. We see Malaysia, at home, homeschooling her churn. We see, what's the girl name? Phoebe homeschooling her churn. I'm being a little suspect about that. We see Jackie is on a, cleansing kick and all of that. Her husband and her son get a chance to have a conversation about how the NBA was able to, have a good season in spite of Shawnee is down in Houston where her daughter want to get back to LA. She's not happy to be living in Houston. She ain't feeling it. And she stood up and was about 20 feet tall, child. We see Kristen and Malaysia have become real cool because they're hanging out in Atlanta. They've created this little COVID-free environment where they can hang out with each other with their children, and feel safe that it's just them. We found out that Kristen had gotten really active with the Black Lives Matter movement this summer and invited Malaysia to come to a couple of events. And Malaysia, she's just not ready to do it. We found out last season or the season before that about Malaysia's brother. When he was 17 years old, he was murdered by the police. He was reaching in his pocket to get something out of his pocket. They thought he was getting a weapon. They killed him in the park. His body sat there, very reminiscent of Mike Brown. It laid there for hours before they took care of it the way it should have been taken care of. And Malaysia said, I really wanted to be there for you, but I just couldn't do it. Like, the anxiety, the memories, I'm still just not in a really good place. And, her and Kristen have a conversation about it, and she shares a lot of that with her. Later on in the episode, we are introduced to the mother of, I wrote the name down, Jamarian Robinson, who was shot, I want to say, they said 76 times by the police in Atlanta. And she has dedicated her life to social justice and, trying to get certain legislation passed and trying to close up the loopholes that allow for what happened to her son to be legal, basically. And she actually comes to talk to Malaysia, and they have a moment. They have a moment. And it was deep. And, again, it always breaks my heart when you have to see these conversations take place where you see these black mothers have to have the conversation about talking to their black sons about the police. Like, the people that you're supposed to be teaching are the good guys. I remember as a kid, my parents teaching me, listen, if somebody's trying to take you, you look for a police officer. If something, this, and this, you look for a police officer. And it breaks my heart that we're at a place in our society right now where parents can't do that anymore. They don't feel comfortable, and they shouldn't. Because the reality is, at the end of this episode, Malaysia had a really hard conversation with her kids, and it broke her heart to do it. But she said, I never thought that I was going to have these types of conversations with my 10-year-old, But she had to have a conversation with them about what do you do, like, about the police. And listen, she told them about their uncle, and she says, if we're driving and mommy gets pulled over by the police, what do you do? And they're like, put your hands up. She said, exactly. You put your hands up. Let the police officers see where your hands are. And it has to be a heartbreaking conversation to have with children about that. She said, hey, if the police come knocking at the door, come busting through the door, actually is what she said, what do you tell them? What are you going to say? or what are you going to do? And one of them said, I'm going to say, do you have a warrant? If you don't have a warrant, get out my house. And Malaysia started laughing like, okay. She said, but no, you let mommy handle that. I want you to put your hands up and don't say anything. You let mommy handle it. You know, she said, and if God forbid, if the police throw mommy down and put a gun to her head, what are you going to do? And her son said, I'm going to just stand there. She said, that's the right answer. She said, don't get involved. Don't interfere. Don't do anything. You know, and she said because, it was a heartbreaking conversation. She said because at the end of the day, if something is going to happen, let it happen to me and not my kids. And some people might look at that and feel like maybe she was being a little bit too harsh with that conversation, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was harsh at all. I think it was a needed conversation, and I hate the fact that her kids had to hear it, but I think they needed to hear it. And that's just where we are in this world. That's just the state of affairs in our country right now. You know, it's hard truths. Hard truths. But anyway, so let's get to the bullshit. Okay. So, Evelyn decides that she wants to see everybody. She wants to hang out, you know, and so she's going to rent a mansion because she's having construction done. I'll never understand these people that buy these houses and then they do all this damn renovation. Child, Lord have mercy. Anyway, so while they're working on some of the stuff in her house, she said, I'm gonna rent a mansion, have the ladies come through so we could just have a good time and have, and just laugh and joke. So she invites Shawnee, Kristen, Malaysia, the new girl, what's her name, Liz, I believe, and Phoebe. And she's also going to invite Jackie. Now, remember, Phoebe and Malaysia ain't in a good place with Jackie. Now, Phoebe said, listen, as long as the fun Jackie show up, not the crazy drunk Jackie that I dealt with in Costa Rica. Malaysia is like, listen, at this point, it's been damn near a year, okay? I'm in a good place. I can be okay with Malaysia. I'm fine. All right, with Jackie, I'm fine. So she invites Jackie. Now, Kristen ends up going to hang out with Jennifer. Jennifer's, like I said, living in Atlanta, and they're talking, and Jennifer lets Kristen know that, hey, Jackie called me and invited me to LA, that, she's going to rent a house, me and OG are going to be in the house. And Kristen was like, what? You and who going to be where? She said, well, I sure am glad that I know, like, I can get myself mentally prepared for this, because that ain't what I signed up for. We also found out that Jennifer has been traveling and having herself a good time in COVID, and that she even had COVID. She said she lost her sense of taste, but she never really got physically sick. But you know what? She not one of the people I got a whole lot of sympathy for, because her ass was out here traveling and hanging out when she should have been on lockdown like the rest of us. Okay, you one of the reasons why I ass still on lockdown, because you couldn't sit at home and just chill out like the rest of us. But it's Jennifer. Selfish is as selfish does. She, of course, talks about the situation with the boyfriend who stole her Range Rover. And then she had a nerve to be, or whatever it was. And then she had a nerve to be like, and yeah, I'm going to turn my pain into money. And I'm doing a documentary about all the things he did to me. Girl, don't nobody care. Who watching that? Don't nobody give a damn about what that man did to you? Anyway, child. So Kristen, of course, ends up calling Evelyn like, I don't know if you know, but Jackie done rented herself a whole nother house, conveniently next door, I'm sure. And OG and Jennifer gonna be in that house. So I don't know how you feel about that. And of course, Evelyn is just not here for it. She is like, girl, what? Like, I am in all, like, I'm not here for none of that. Me and Jennifer ain't no parts of friends. And the whole OG situation is not good. So, yeah, I'm not here for none of that. Then we see OG, with her talking to her family about it and the potential to go with Jackie and hang out, and that she knows that Evelyn and stuff is gonna be there, but that they're gonna be in separate houses, and so she feels comfortable with it. And if because of course the reason why Jackie's doing this is to try to get everybody to make up, talk out their differences, and get back on one accord, and everybody be cool again. Girl, and she had a nerve to be telling OG, ain't gonna be no drama. Girl, why not? That is a recipe for drama. Okay, you're gonna invite the two people that are suing each other, and you gonna say they no drama. That is the recipe for drama. But anyway, so that's Jackie. And that's what it is. This episode was really just to set up the rest of the season with these ladies gonna be in these houses talking and Ponderosa and child. Anyway, that's what it was. That's what it was. Y'all let me know what y'all think. And I'll talk to y'all later.